This week on the Modified Minute.
Yeah, the Super is it's an awesome machine. All I can tell you, it's when you strap in that car, it's you and the machine. You have no radios, no communication with spotters, your team, and it's just the ultimate short track race car.
Well, we won a lot of races over the years between me and Ed, and now me and John. We won championships at all the tracks. We've actually won championships between me and Eddie, me and Jonathan, and all the tracks. Kind of crazy. I have one bucket list thing that I would hope someday is to win all three tracks in 1 year.
I don't think the rivalry stops coming off the track. It could be anything from who does woodworking better or whose truck looks better. It's round the clock, who's better at what. I would say at the end of the day, it's all for fun, but we know it's not. It's who's better. It's always been like that.
All that plus Hot Dog of the Week, Radio Replay, and Either Or. So tighten those belts because this week's Modified Minute is next. They're called the Mod Squad. Ground pounders. The men that live by the grace of God and 600 horsepower.
Here they come to the stripe, down to the finish, checkered flag in the air.
Bonsignor up the hill, here comes Salamito to the inside. Here comes John Beatty Jr.
And off the corner, to the line they come.
This is the Modified Minute. Go inside the world of modified racing with Jack Arute. Modified Minute is brought to you by Waddell Communications, the official trackside radio supplier for the Mod Squad. By Mid-State Site Development, Safety, Knowledge, and Innovation. By Wheeler's Auto Services, the finest in top-level service of premier automobile makes and models. By Hummel Brothers Quality Meats, 100% quality since 1933. By Riverhead Building Supply, build smarter, build better. By New England Racing Fuels, New England's authorized distributor of Sunoco fuels and products. And by Ferguson Contractors, building excellence since 1925. Here's Jack.
Welcome back to your home for modified racing, the Modified Minute. I'm Jack Arute. Now this week, we're visiting with three individuals that have already left their mark upon the sport. For more than 20 years, Vinny Beedle has been the impetus behind the success first of Father Ed Puleo and now his son, last year's Stafford SK champion, JP Jonathan Puleo. He's been called the Man of Granite. Jonathan McKennedy has won championships in more than 100 modified and supermodified races. He drops in to recount his career and also shares key moments in his racing resume. And then, well, he dominated the SK Light Series, winning at all three Connecticut tracks. Tyler Chapman has moved into the SK Modified division, but has created quite a stir after a spring Sizzler runner-up in Les Hinckley's Tour Type Modified. Now, last week's racing action was plagued by rain that forced the cancellations at New London Waterford Speed Bowl, Riverhead Raceway, and the Race of Champions show at Shangri-La. But Stafford opened their Friday night schedule, and we have all the modified action for you in this week's Up to Speed.
Time to get you up to speed in the modified world. Up to Speed is brought to you by Mid-State Site Development. Mid-State, safety, knowledge, and innovation.
The biggest field of the night, the up-and-comers, the veterans, and much, much more. We are green here at Stafford in the SK Light Division.
Tyler Berry did not go. He missed a shift. Casey Bowden, the stack of Cliff's Edge Jakoski, and we have a couple more crashing behind him. Anthony Farino in the 52, and it looks like the 22 of Mike Parolo, and the 5 of Andy Marquise, along with Jake Hines.
Well, it all happened with a bottleneck in the front pack of cars. It appeared that the Berry machine had a problem getting it into gear. When he did, it stacked up the outside lane. That set off a ripple effect. you're looking at the end results. It looked a lot worse than it appears, because it appears everybody is able, with the exception of maybe one car or two cars, able to pull away. The 52 is moving, and that is Anthony Farino. Here's what happened. Keep your eyes on that neon yellow. It looks like a highlighter in color.
Oh, Tyler Berry does not go again. That's 2 straight restarts where he has missed a shift.
Off the turn, Cassandra Cole gets a nice start.
Much better restart by Berry. He pushed Bloxham into Cassandra Cole, but Cole slides up the track and Bloxham gets through to the lead, while Charlene gets shuffled back 3 wide up top.
Robert Bloxham is back in winning form. Different car, different combination. A Keith Rocco car, dominant at the front of the field here tonight. Final time to turn number 3 and off turn 4.
Robert Bloxham leads the way. He took the top spot and never looked back. Checker flag is out. Robert Bloxham III scores the victory in the SK Light Modifieds.
First week, we missed a little, but you know, we took it as a learning curve and learning each other as a team. You know, I just told everybody, hey, let's write it down, come back and show them, you know, what KRR is about and what I'm about, and I'm very happy to have, you know, impressed this quick.
It's all the hard work and this awesome chassis bro car getting us there, you know. Todd and the guys, they just keep putting the work in, and it shows, you know what I mean?
After the race here was some noise was going on there, so I don't know if something's messed up or if I messed it up from something I was doing wrong, but we'll definitely look into it for next week. I hate wrecking everybody for my mistakes like that. That's just, I know what goes into these cars, how much money. I work on these all week myself, so I get it.
All eyes are on turn number 4. They ignite the wick, and the gun has been shot down into turn number 1. Marcello Rafano just clicked off the quickest lap 1 lap ago, but Mikey Flint.
Vassar hit the wall hard off of 2. Everybody else scrambles, and somehow everybody came out of it okay.
Michael Christopher got on the brakes hard, and it looked like Todd Owen was right there as well.
And we have a battle for the lead. Keith Rocco got by Dylan Kopech in the midst of all that, and he has the top spot.
It is still Rocco to lead him at the halfway.
20 down, 20 to go. 2 drivers who used to be teammates in the 2010s. Rafano sticking with the family team. Rocco moving on to his own ventures in the SK Modifieds, now driving for Dan Avery. He's got a 2-car length gap, but Rafano absolutely rolled the center and cut the gap in half, but Rocco was able to stay on the gas coming off of 4, so they remain evenly matched at 1 car length apart, with Kopech in 3rd.
Over Keith Rocco in a car that is owned by Dan Avery. Coming up on lap traffic.
Trouble in turn 1. 3 cars tangle in the corner. Josh Morrison on the outside might have had a piece. Looks like Megan Fuller in the 2 and another car, Chase Cook in the 77, that are stuck in turn 1 together.
Keith Rocco has done it, back in winning form here at Stafford. Marcello Rafano to finish in 2nd. Dylan Kopech to finish on the podium. Great run.
How were you able to hold off the multi-time charges of Marcello Rafano as he tried to take the win away?
I think I might have worn him out in the shop this week, the extra help when I need a hand. Thanks, Marcello.
Yeah, it was a lot of work coming back from 14th, but like he said, he wore me out in the shop all week. So this week my labor rate just went up a little bit for him. Really awesome race car. It just sucks we had to start so deep. We had to work a lot there coming through the pack, but
we had a good car today. We had a good car at the Sizzler, just a little bit of transmission issues. Held us back a little bit, but today the guys got the car rolling good, and I'm kind of happy that we stayed up here and we got a good finish.
It's now time to reveal this week's Modified Minute Hot Dog of the Week. Someone who stood above the rest. Brought to you by Hummel Brothers, Quality Meats, the top dog in modified racing. 100% quality since 1933.
You know, Michael Christopher Jr. suffered a terrible spring Sizzler outing.
Coming off the 2nd corner, Christopher has the leverage on the inside line with Rafano lurking in 3rd. Christopher charges the corner into 3. He's got the lead again.
New race leader. Can he hang on to it by the time they get to the start-finish line? The answer is yes. Michael Christopher Jr. to the point. The race is now behind him for 2nd.
He was leading in the early going until a burst radiator hose put him into the turn 2 safer barriers. Relegating him to 25th in the final results. But MCJ bounced back Friday night. He started 15th, patiently worked his way forward to take the checkered flag in 5th place. That bounce back earns Christopher this week's Hot Dog of the Week. It started out with a simple phone call more than 20 years ago. And from that came a racing relationship that has brought two families together. Let's meet Vinny Beedle in this week's Crew Call.
Time to drop in at the race shop and get the inside dope from the guys who twist the wrenches. It's Crew Call, brought to you by Ferguson Contractors, building excellence since 1925.
Well, making a crew call this week is a guy that, well, maybe he doesn't twist the wrenches, but he is probably the critical component to the success of the Puleo family in modified racing throughout the Northeast. We are talking about Vinny Beedle, who joins me now. And Vinny, is that an accurate description of the relationship? Starting as a sponsor, being a friend, being part of the family. You do everything but tune on the race car.
Correct. I mean, when they need me to carry tires and jack the car, I've been known to do a little bit. But as I tell Eddie, he does not want me to make the decisions on the operation.
How important is that relationship that you have forged, first starting with the dad, Eddie, and now with Jonathan, and the way he is moving up the ladder?
It goes back a long time. You know, it's actually, me and Eddie have been 16 years together. And started as a car owner and sponsor to Eddie. Watched JP grow up. He's only 21 now. So, you know, he was a little tyke, him and my son, doing the little flat carts at Waterford.
Well, why did you guys connect the way that you did?
I'll tell you a quick story. Got a call that Eddie wanted to meet me, or a gentleman wanted to meet me that owned a street stock. Back 16 years ago. And I guess the first question I asked him was, what are you looking for? And he was looking for a sponsor for some tires and fuel. But I went right to I'm a take control kind of guy. And I said, why aren't you winning championships and races? And he said, well, I need better horsepower. You know, we need to do this to the car. So I said, okay, well, let's do it. And he looked at me kind of strange. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I said, well, in plain English, if we're going to win something, we have to perform. We have to have the right equipment. And I'm not a big, as you can see, Mr. Reuter is my company. As a car owner, I self-sponsor most of everything I do. And I said, I want to have control. And the only way you have control is not being dictated to by your sponsors. So I became the primary sponsor to my own cars.
Does the sponsor in you ever have a conversation with the car owner in you?
Yeah, I call it me, myself, and I. We talk often. And sometimes I hear two opinions against mine, and I usually lose.
Let me ask you this. Eddie certainly had some success with your help, but then decided to hang it up as he watched Jonathan move up from the flat carts to the Legends cars, and we've documented that here on the Modified Minute. Did you play a role at all in the decision for Eddie to hand over the controls of the Modified to Jonathan?
I think it was a joint effort that we saw what JP had. As you call him Jonathan, we call him JP. Few other things we will not talk about on this podcast, but we like to have fun in our team. I got to tell you right now, we love to have fun. That's a very important part of what we do. And we talked about it and said, what is the next step for our race team? Because we've never had a lot. We've not had multiple drivers. different sponsors. It's always been Vinny Beedle, the Puleo family, and Mr. Rooter. So we kind of organically grew the team through the process, from my grandson being involved to my son to JP to Eddie. Everyone changed roles and grew together. And we're family now.
How satisfying is it to you, the championship season that your team enjoyed at Stafford at the SK level 1 year ago?
Incredible. The year before we struggled, well, actually the last couple of years prior, because he was maturing into the driver he is today. He's a young man now. We watched him as a little kid to a teenager to where he is. And we watched it through the year. And we didn't win a lot of races, but we were consistent. But I go back to, I have a motto at our race team is if we can't have fun, we're not going to do it. And that's the important part. I just see too much tension in the sport sometimes, in the big, all the way up to cup, down to where we are. And I said, if we can have fun, we can achieve anything.
There came a moment, and JP was kind enough on the podcast to share it, when you and his dad didn't sit him down. You actually had the conversation in the paddock area just before the last race of the season, when, and I'm paraphrasing, you two said to him, look, forget all this. We're leading 1 week and we're not leading the next. There's nothing to worry about because there is no next week.
Correct. Whatever happens, happens. We were prepared for whatever was to happen. We were proud. We were blessed to be where we were. And he couldn't change nothing. It was in his hands. It wasn't in my hands, wasn't in Eddie's, it wasn't in the car. It was up to him. And he went into it with the mindset. Actually, he didn't even know he won the championship when he won it. We didn't tell him. It was important.
Whoa, wait a minute. Mikey Flynn drops out of the race with an overheating engine. You guys see it. And JP, you don't tell him?
Nope. Because we wanted his head where it needed to be, which was in the car, to do the best he could. Because not only was, if Mikey was out or in, we had other cars in contention. And that placement where he placed, he had to place a certain better. And if we put pressure on him that one was out, he would take that for granted. And you can't in life take things for granted. So we let him run his race.
Sounds to me, Vinny, that in addition to having fun, you've been instrumental, along with his father, in teaching young JP some valuable life lessons away from the racetrack.
Because racing is just not racing. When you're in that car, it's life. The decision you make, the financial decisions we make with racing. As you know, racing is not cheap anymore. But it is learning about life. And we're watching him grow in many ways as a young man.
Where do you think his strong suit is right now?
It isn't listening sometimes. No. And he'll laugh when he sees this. He's getting a leveler head, and he's not reacting to the reaction. He's thinking the process. He's studying more. If it isn't watching videos, racing today is different than racing it was back in me and Eddie in the early days. These kids today, they get in a simulator, they watch videos. As you know, Jack, me and you were from the same age bracket. We didn't have any of the above back then.
Let me ask you this. What's left on Vinny Beedle's hit list of terms of things you want to accomplish / have fun with in racing?
Well, we won a lot of races over the years between me and Ed, and now me and John. We won championships at all the tracks. We've actually won championships between me and Eddie, me and Jonathan, and all the tracks. Kind of crazy. I have one bucket list thing that I would hope someday is to win all three tracks in 1 year.
Wow. Look, the way things are going, that's doable. That's doable this year.
You know, dreams are dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You can stab at them, you can get them. But if you give a direction, my job is to give a direction of what I would like to see, and everyone works towards it. If we get halfway there, we've achieved it, Jack. And that's what I try to teach everyone on my team. I say, listen, every week is a new week. What happened last week is past. We can't change last week. I don't even believe you can predict next week. It's this week is the most important week of our career.
And I think I would add the postscript to that is enjoy the hell out of it.
And we have fun.
Yeah.
And we all laugh. We have fun in the trailer. We don't fight. Word I hate is drama. I won't get involved in the above because we're not in this to make money. It's all about the sport of having fun, building a relationship, not only with the Puleo family and the Beedle family. It's our team, all the crew members and women. I have women on my crews now that, you know, we all have fun. We went to Florida, all of us together down New Smyrna. We learned a lot. We didn't go down there and say we're going to slaughter the place. We said, let's go have fun. I made the commitment. If we win the championship, we go. I just next time won't make such big promises.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah,
what
be careful
you
what you ask for, right? Or you promise. But we have fun. I go back to that. I think that's lacking in a lot of the teams, all the way up to the Cup Series. Have a little fun. And success comes when you have fun.
I like that. I'm going to remember that. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed our conversation. Look forward to seeing you on a regular basis around the short tracks. And thanks for being part of the Modified Minute, because after all, I want this podcast to be fun.
And it should. And I wish you all luck.
You know, drivers call the cockpit of their race car their office. So I thought it'd be fun this week to visit the office of the Pride of Italy.
It's Radio Replay, brought to you by Waddell Communications, your Northeast trackside dealer for radios and repairs.
For a number of years, people worried that there were few young drivers climbing up the modified ladder, but that is no longer the case. If you recall, in a previous episode of this podcast, you met 15-year-old Paulie Hartwig III. He's one of a handful of young guns establishing themselves as the future of modified racing. Well, this week, it's time to meet another. He's climbed the racing ladder, and he has planted his flag as a driver to be dealt with. Let's meet Tyler Chapman.
This is SK Soundings. News from the SK, SK Light, and 602 Modified World. Brought to you by Wheeler's Auto Services, the finest in top-level service of premier automobile makes and models, specializing in European, Japanese and domestic vehicles.
Well, for our SK soundings today, I decided that we would tap into a guy that has taken the SK series by storm. First, as an SK light champion with multiple wins, and now moving in between the SK that he drives on a regular basis to the modified tour of the Tri-Track series, driving for Les Hinckley. That's right. We're talking about Tyler Chapman. Tyler, welcome to the Modified Minute. You got a lot going on, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me here. Thanks.
Tell me a little bit about where the bug for racing started with you and your two brothers. And it was that typical climbing up the ladder, so to speak, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I had a choice when I was 4.5. My dad put me in a go-kart along with me and my brothers. I can't complain for it, but he started us in go-karts on Monday nights at Wild Thing Kart with the Stafford Speedway. It's a great program. That's where all the good guys start, it seems like, and then we worked our way up through go-karts, and it went to like Bandoleros, Legend Cars, SK Light, SKs, and now open cars.
When you first got in the car at 4.5, is that right, what you said?
About 4.5, 4 3/4,
right.
if we're getting
Forgive me, but your dad straps you in a race car and says, go out there and turn left, and you're only 4.5 years old. What went through your little mind?
I wish I could say. I have no recollection of exactly what was going on. The earliest I can remember is probably, a couple years after when I was, 6, 7, 8-ish. But when I was 4.5, I have no idea.
When you started coming up the ladder, and I find it interesting that not only Wild Thing, but then you moved to Bandoleros and to Legends Cars, there's an awful lot of people that now look, especially your generation, and see a vital rung in the racing ladder being those Legends Cars from Inex.
Yeah, no, I think Legend Cars is a huge step. I didn't really prefer the Bandoleros. When we got to the Legend Cars, small tires, small wheelbase, ton of power, going fast. That's you learn car control there. Go-karts, you're not sliding it sideways. You're stuck to the ground. So that teaches you how to go left really fast and consistent. Being with other cars. And you move to the Legend Cars, and it teaches you car control. If a modified steps out, you should know how to correct it by then after doing a Legend car, just because you're pretty much sideways the whole time.
And then when you started driving the SK Lights, a tad different than the SKs because that's a momentum type race car. How long did it take for you to gain the skill set to excel the way you did, at the end of your light career winning the championship?
Yeah, I think 5 years it took to master it, obviously, because that's when we won all the races, won the championship. The first year I was out there, I was just learning the track, learning the car, feeling it out. Second year, we were going for a couple wins, just progressing, fairly, don't wreck the car, stuff like that. The third year we started, I believe we got 2 or 3 wins, I'm not sure. But just yet again, don't wreck the car, learning the car. And the fourth year, I was like, we were going to the championship, I believe, with Tyler Berry. And we just had bad luck, blew a transmission, blew another transmission. Struggle. We were on the struggle bus. And then the last year, we wanted to come back, get the championship, lock it down, and that's what we did.
Tyler Chapman caps the season off, your 2024 SK Light Modified Champion.
And a giant exhale and a commitment now to move up to SKs. Winless in the SKs thus far, but this is only year 2. I'm going to get to what seems to be the bright spot, and that's that car behind you in the open modified tour. But where do you think you need to pick up things in the SK competition?
Well, I mean, you get 3 tires a week. So if you look at the charts, you're within a tenth of each other, at least in the top 10. So if you're 10th, you're there. You're just in a bad spot. Wrong timing. Obviously, you have the class of the field right now. It's Rafano, Christopher, possibly sometimes hearing out JP, Flynn. Those are top guys. I'm not sure if we're there yet. We're definitely getting there. The first race, we missed the setup a little bit. A lot going on. We had 2 cars, only 3 divisions on the Sunday of the Spring Sizzler. So we missed the setup a little bit, but we bounced out of a top 5, which is pretty cool. I think it was a win. No wrecked race cars. The first Spring Sizzler with the SK, we brought 2 cars home, me and Steven, in a ball of mess. So we're already better than last year.
I want to talk about that sibling rivalry between you and Steven. As I watch in the stands or I watch on Flow, it's like you two really thoroughly enjoy getting after each other.
Oh, definitely. I don't think the rivalry stops coming off the track. It could be anything from who does woodworking better or whose truck looks better. It's round the clock, who's better at what. I would say at the end of the day, it's all for fun, but we know it's not. It's who's better. It's always been like that, which makes it fun. Obviously, my mom is pulling hairs, listening to it all the time. Back when Jason was involved in it, there was 3 of us going at it. But no, more recently, me and Steven, we like racing with each other. At least I do. At least maybe different if you ask him. But we seem to get along on the track.
All right, now I want to move to June of 2025. You're in your first year driving an SK Modified, and as a lot of SK drivers did, you took a long, hard look and committed to the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series with a guy that had a long and storied history there, the 06 team of Les Hinckley. You guys merged your operation, and how'd it go in the beginning?
Well, the first race went great, I think. We went to Seekonk was the first race. I was obviously nervous. Never been to the track. Looks like a hard track. I'm used to bigger tracks like Stafford, Thompson. I was never a fan of Waterford. It was a smaller momentum track. So going to Seekonk was like, here we go. I believe we started, I want to say around the 13th area, 14th, and we finished, I believe, 11th, I believe, around there, out of, I think, 30 cars. So no damage. It went well. It was a success. We got to, dip our feet in what's to come.
Through all our conversation here, when you're recounting how you did, it's like most important on the checklist, no damage. Okay.
Last year we had too much damage. It was, if you look back at the weeks, it was every other week we wrecked. And it wasn't just me. It was me and Steven. We wrecked together. Whether it was the same wreck or not, I can put the blame on, twice. It was my fault. But most of the time, the wreck was avoided. My car was slowed down, and the car behind me was not slowed down. My rear end was up in the air, flying through the air, wrecking the car. So my older brother Steven, he stopped the SK racing. Last year he had too much fun, so he called it. He's focusing on the 25 team. So the no damage is huge. We got to work on our own cars, and I don't want to spend till 11 o'clock every night fixing the car. That would have been fine if we just didn't wreck the car.
All right, now let's fast forward to the Spring Sizzler and the 100 lap green flag race. You were fast right out of the box, and when it came down to it, it was a toss-up for the final 3 or 4 laps.
No surrendering at the point. It's still Williams as they cross the stripe. Beers still running strong to the outside lane.
Tyler Chapman wants to go. He pushes past Beers coming off of turn 2. Now Williams looks to protect the bottom lane. 2 turns away from victory.
No question about it. They dive to the bottom of turn 3. Here comes Austin Beers. The fans are jumping up and down in their seats, but it is Ronnie Williams to take down the greatest race in the history of spring for the
Tell me what went through your mind as you're challenging not only for the lead, but
back and forth with Ronnie Williams and Austin Beers in the 179.
And the 3 of you were glued to each other. People say it was the most exciting Spring Sizzler in the 54-year history.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It was just, to me, it was another race with no damage. I think that race showed us. Yeah, I think that race showed that, we're here, we're fast, we're here to stay. Last year was a little rocky. So this year, definitely, this is the second race, 2 top 10s. So this race was definitely, a click in the box if we're going in the right direction. It's our first top 3 finish of the Monaco Tri-Track Series and the Open Modifieds overall. I think the first part was passing Silk. I know he had a troubled pit stop after his car got tight or something. And when we passed him, it felt great. Car was awesome. And then we were, actually racing with the top guys. There's no better guys than, the people I was racing with then.
Well, it was a thrill to watch. Think you've got a great year ahead of you. Let's hope that each and every week, be it the SK or the Tour Modified, when you get back to the garage, A, you can check the box, no damage, and B, because you work on the car, you can go home early because there's no need to do anything in terms of repairs.
Yeah, I like to say 9 o'clock, 9:30 is the shut-off time. It's time to go to bed. So we want all the work, clean the car, and everything to be done before 9:30.
Tyler, we appreciate it. Good luck this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
What happens when a father gives his 5-year-old son a go-kart to run in the family's driveway? Well, if you're Jonathan McKennedy, it results in a 20-year modified and super modified racing career that is filled with victories and championships.
It's Racer Spotlight time on the Modified Minute. Racer Spotlight is brought to you by Riverhead Building Supply. Build better. Build smarter. Here's Jack.
Well, shining brightly in the Racer Spotlight today is a guy that has won the Modified Racing Series Championship. He has won the Whelen Modified Tour Championship. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he's won the Monaco Modified Tri-Tracks Championship and a Super Modified Championship. We're talking about Jonathan McKennedy. Jonathan, welcome to the Modified Minute, my friend.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on, Jack.
Let me start all the way back when you were at Sugar Hill as a 6-year-old and decided to turn left in a mini car and then in a go-kart. When did you really get bit with the bug to become a race car driver?
It definitely started young. My dad got me into it at a young age, and we started off with some karts here in the driveway, and my brother and I used to run these karts out in the driveway for hours at a time, just run them out of gas, keep putting fuel in them. And yeah, one thing has led to another. We went to the local go-kart track about an hour north, Sugar Hill Speedway. And man, from there on, it was something I really enjoyed. We were pretty good at right from the beginning. And yeah, here we are, 25 years later, and I'm still fully committed and still really enjoying it, and running very competitive at high levels of racing. So it's been a huge part of my life.
John, how old were you when you first sat behind your very first modified?
Ooh, modified, maybe like 18 or 19, I want to say.
Okay.
Tour type modified. Yep.
And from there, you've won more than 100 races. And we're going to talk a little bit about your transition from modifieds to super modifieds in just a moment. But I want to go back because you've run your own operation. Then you got a couple of opportunities that were just absolutely top shelf. Tell me about your time with Art Berry, one of the true Hall of Famers in modified racing.
Yeah, so Art, that was a really cool deal. That was something that we were actually at a trade show. I think it was in Marlboro, Mass, that Bobby Seymour had put up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was down there. This was about 2011, 2012. We were walking around, and I seen Kenny Berry, and he come up to me and says, "I want you in my car this season." We were kind of joking, and about a month later, his dad called me, and he said, "Jonathan, I'd like you to drive my car this year." And you know how racing's changed over the years. It's, unfortunately, it's about the sponsorships and the mighty dollar. And I was straight up with them. I said, I can't bring nothing to the table out. I'd love to drive for you. He goes, "I'm not asking you to. I want you to drive for me." So at the time, it was a great opportunity. And I ran the whole year with the Modified Racing Series. And back then, too, the series was a really good series. I mean, very competitive. I mean, they were getting 25, 30 cars at all those events around that time. So yeah, we ran the whole year together. We won a handful of races. We won a championship. Ran the whole year. I think it was 15 or 16 races. Literally didn't put a scratch on the car, and that was huge with Art. He liked someone that could respect his equipment, go fast, but more importantly, he didn't want to have to work and, replace stuff for stupidity. And, if you had a 5th place car that day, that's what you had. But, and that was one of the reasons why I think he hired me to drive. He knew I could get the job done, and I was a clean driver. And so, yeah, that was a great deal. The car was always prepared. That out of all the rides I had, that was definitely one of my favorite rides. And Ken Berry and I had good chemistry. Here and there we'd bump heads, and but overall it was a great deal, and I really enjoyed racing for the Berries.
And you talk about top names in modified racing. Then a little later in your career, you drove for Tommy Baldwin Jr. in the famous 7 New York. What a juxtaposition, or the polar opposites. Art Berry, quiet, calm, always just, you had to really, really understand his soft-spoken approach to racing. And then you got TBR that is just absolutely out of control. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, it was different. But at the end of the day, I drove for Tommy for a couple of years. It was a good experience. I learned a lot. Obviously he's a smart guy. He's made a living, crew chief and top level racing in the world, the NASCAR Cup Series, and he's won races, and he's put himself around some great people, in his racing career as a crew chief. And those few years I drove him, I learned a lot, and it was a great opportunity for me to race the NASCAR Modified Tour. Because prior to that, I've been racing the Modifieds on and off for, I don't know, what's it been, 15 or 20 years. But there was a lot of those years from like 2009 to 2016, 17. I only ran a handful of, I feel like, NASCAR modified events. It was mostly open shows and modified racing series, stuff with the supers. So when I drove for Tommy, that was really from 18 to like 2021. I got a lot of experience on that tour, a lot of tracks I got to go to, and overall we ran well. We did win a handful of races, in Myrtle Beach. We won a race down at New Smyrna. We won the last race at the North-South Shootout at Concord Speedway, which was an awesome track, one of my favorite tracks. In the last year racing for Tommy, we had some struggles for sure that year, just a lot of little stupid mechanical issues, and, we were trying some new cars, and I think at the time he was definitely a little bit busy. He had a lot of stuff going on with other racing, and but at the end of the day, we ended on good terms. We're still very friendly. We talk still. I was very fortunate, to drive for him. And again, that was a deal that came out of left field. I remember driving a 10-wheeler when he called, and McKennedy, I want you to drive my car in Florida. If you do good, the ride's yours. And that's the God's honest truth. We went to New Smyrna, and our first night out together, we won the pole and won the race. And one thing kind of led to another. So overall, it was a good few years driving for Tommy, and a lot of respect for him. Hard worker. And I think all the guys down south feel the same about him. Just a hard-nosed racer, loves racing, and no one's going to work harder than Tommy.
Look, there's no question that you established early on a reputation as an outstanding modified race car driver. But then you fell in love with the super modifieds. Tell me what it was about a super modified that just jazzed you beyond all belief.
Yeah, the super is it's an awesome machine. All I can tell you, it's when you strap in that car, it's you and the machine. You have no radios, no communication with spotters, your team, and it's just the ultimate short track race car. I mean, this car is 2,000 pounds with me in it, full of fuel, and it's got almost 1,000 horsepower sitting next to my left leg. And I tell you, when you hit the gas, it is something. It's probably the closest thing I'll get to drive, it's something close to like an Indy car. I've always said I love the opportunity to try one of those, because I feel like a super in a way is very similar. And I've been pretty successful over the years with the supers, and I've seen guys like Bentley Warren, Joe Gosick, super modified stars, great drivers back in the day. They did some IndyCar stuff, and they ran pretty respectful, so that I think there is a little hope there. But again, it's a needle in a haystack, right? We all want to make it to that top level, but there's only a few rides available each year, and that's for a whole entire world. So the window's so small, and I'm aware of that. But at the end of the day, I really enjoy racing the supers, and they're just an awesome machine. I mean, the nice thing with the Super Jack is sometimes you can be a little bit off, and it's like you drive that car a little bit harder because it's just such a fast car. You can make up some speed. Where I feel like the Modifieds now, they're almost like in a box. They're all, I don't want to say cookie cutters, but they kind of are. We all run the NASCAR spec motor. Majority of the whole field all has that 620 horse. We all got the same cars, and majority of the drivers are all good drivers. So it's like there's a small window, right? If you miss it that little bit, you're a 5th or 10th place car. Because there's only so much you can make up as a driver, where the Super is so fast. Sometimes you can put your stones up on the steering wheel and make up a 10th or 2. And that's just the truth. On this topic, one thing I have mentioned a little bit the last few years, and it hasn't gotten nowhere, but me personally, I would like to see the Modifieds, have some more horsepower. During the off season, a cheap, affordable way to give these things some power is, give these spec engines a little bit more camshaft, a little bit of valve train, make them so they have over 700 horse.
Right.
And it's a cheap, affordable change. Then the driver has a little more say in it. The whole field now is just so close, and sometimes you can't make up what you need to when everyone's that even and the car is slightly underpowered. And I personally would like to see them have more power and give us the option to run a different spoiler. Why run an 8-inch spoiler? Give us the option if we want. We can run a 10 or a 12-inch. And I think you'd see better racing. There'd be more coming and going. And that's my personal opinion. And I think guys who have followed the racing would probably agree with it. I think you just need to see a little bit more of a change.
Look, I know you already are aware of the fact that, like you, I share an abiding passion for the supers. I would be remiss on this podcast if I didn't give you a few seconds to state your case to my family to return the ISMA Supermodifieds to Stafford Speedway.
Yes, the supers need to go back. At the end of the day, they haven't been there in several years. Last I recall, the few times they have been there, you guys have had a great crowd. The ISMA MSA series, as well as some of these cars in the New England area running the Nest series. I mean, I'm pretty confident you get a super modified event at Stafford Motor Speedway. I would say you'd have a great field, 20 cars or more. And yes, they do double file restarts now. I know that was the big thing with Stafford a few years ago. So, it's been a few years. They haven't been there, and I don't know. I'm pretty confident. Then they come back. You guys will have a good crowd, and I think you'll have a good field of cars too. Just a great facility. I really had a lot of fun racing the Super there, and what can you say? Stafford's done a great job over the years, and arguably one of the nicest short tracks in New England.
Listen, it's a real pleasure to visit with you, not only here, but whenever we run into each other. And I would share with my viewers and listeners, the first thing that always comes out of Jonathan McKennedy's mouth is, when are the supers coming back to Stafford? Jonathan, I'm giving it the best shot I can, but unfortunately, I'm retired. My input is more limited than yours. But listen, best wishes. You've already tied down a Monaco victory, and we look forward to a great campaign by you and the number 79 in 2026.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Jack.
This feature in the Modified Minute is getting a lot of positive airplay. In fact, it's become the talk of most of the pit areas. It's called Either Or, and I managed to convince, cajole, and plead with Jonathan McKennedy to be the subject this week. Well, Jonathan McKennedy, I hope that you are ready to participate in what we call Either Or.
I'm going to give it a try.
All right, then let's go.
It's Either Or, where our guest must choose one or the other. Brought to you by New England Racing Fuels, New England's authorized distributor of Sunoco fuels and products. Sunoco, the official fuel of NASCAR.
First question I think's easy for you. I already know the answer. Supers or modifieds?
Supers.
No question. Okay. This one's going to be a little harder. Bentley Warren or Richie Evans?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Bentley Warren. I'm going with Bentley. Someone I'm friendly with, a lot of respect for. I've got to see him race with them. Obviously, Richie was another great, but overall, I pick Bentley Warren.
Steak or lobster?
Going with steak.
Okay. Boots or sneakers?
I guess it all depends what you're doing that day. But for the most part, I'd have to say going with sneakers.
Okay. And finally, rap or country?
Definitely not rap. We'll go in country.
Well, congratulations. You made it through either or unscathed. Jonathan, thanks so much for doing this today.
Yes, thanks, Jack. It's good seeing you, bud.
Well, it's time to close out this week's Modified Minute episode, and my thanks go out to this week's guests, Tyler Chapman, Vinny Beedle, and Jonathan McKennedy. Make sure that you return next week, won't you, when we will bring you yet another episode of the Modified Minute.
This has been the Modified Minute. Modified Minute has been brought to you by Waddell Communications, the official trackside radio supplier for the Mod Squad, by Midstate Site Development, safety, knowledge, and innovation, by Wheeler's Auto Services, the finest in top-level service of premier automobile makes and models, by Hummel Brothers Quality Meats, 100% quality since 1933, by Riverhead Building Supply, Build Smarter, Build Better, by New England Racing Fuels, New England's authorized distributor of Sunoco fuels and products, and by Ferguson Contractors, building excellence since 1925. Video provided by NASCAR, Monaco Tri-Track, NESTN, and Flow Racing. Want to get in touch with us? It's easy. Email us with your comments and suggestions. Our email address is modifiedminute@gmail.com, or you can instant message us at Modified Minute. Video versions of the Modified Minute are available on YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to both and grow the show. I'm Guy Abraham. We will see you again next week for another episode of the Modified Minute.